When my dad passed away, we cremated him, and then the next day I had to fly to Mumbai to start shooting.
If a film is really, really worth its salt, the audience is there for it. So you can't blame an audience and say okay, that our audience is not cinema literate.
The first day you're just overwhelmed. Oh, you're playing Savitri. Oh, it's a whole new crew. Oh, this is a setup. She's an icon. Everybody's just talking in your head.
It's interesting to see that they saw this as the future of India in the mid 19th century, around 1848. I mean, if they can think so much into the future, if they can have so much foresight, what is wrong with people today who claim to be technologically so advanced and yet they do not think?
If you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate the family.
Only a mother can actually, sort of impart values to a child.
Just to fill me, just to fill me.
Hi guys, welcome back to Just to Fill Me. I am Rotox, and on today's episode, I have a legend and I have a neo-legend. Is that right? She's like, no. But it's so nice to sit with the both of you, Ananth and Patra.
Thank
you so much for joining us on Just to Fill Me.
Thank you, Rohini.
Ananth
It's a
sir,
pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Always. We look
Thank
forward
you so
to being
much.
talking to her. Yeah.
मेरे तो क्या बोलते हैं नेबर भी होते हैं, सीनियर भी होते हैं. So there are lots of connections here, I must say. And I'm so excited about the fact that we're talking about another film. And I must say that you're on quite a run. What's happening? What do they call it? A golden run or golden purple patch. Is that right? Do you think of it that way?
Well, if you say so, I must be very grateful for that, and thank you so much.
It's really great because Storyteller was released, very recently, and right on the heels of that, we have Phule, which is a very important film, and we'll talk about that. And also another film that you made, many years ago, that's also been in the news. So what's happening? Like, how are you digesting 3 films in news at the same time? Talk to us about that.
Well, you see, it's all coming together, and it had to fall together at some point of time. I guess this is the time that's all coming together. Whether it's a 1999 debut film I made called Ghongat Ke Pat Khol, which has been unearthed by some great people in the industry and given me some recognition by default. Or whether it is Storyteller, which was a tribute to Satyajit Ray and was something very, very close to my heart. And I'm glad that the audience smelt the film out. They smoked it out and they loved it. So that is the positive part. It's not about the film, but it's about how the audience reacted. And it's a lesson for me and for all of us that if a film is really, really worth its salt, the audience is there for it. So you can't blame an audience and say okay, that our audience is not cinema literate. And of course, like you said, the most important part is Phule. Because for me and for all of us in this team, it's a subject that was waiting to be made. Surprisingly not made in Hindi for more than 100 years of Indian cinema. So I'm glad that we finally got down to doing it. It was a tough call because there was so much research to be done. There was very little material available on the face of it, on the surface. So we had to dig deep. And I'm glad that our producers Ritesh Kodecha and Anuya Kodecha supported this kind of venture, because it's not enough to have a good subject and you being a good director. You may be the greatest director in the world. If you don't have a good producer, nothing happens to it.
Correct.
So I think somewhere everything was destined to fall into place.
It's so lovely. And I think that you've also been destined to work with some of the finest actors that we have.
Oh, yes.
Pratik is not here, and I know this, okay? And we're apologetic for it, but he's shooting something at this point. But Patra, I must say that seeing you in that beautiful tikka, okay? What a graceful look. And I'm being superficial about it to start with, but I must say that it's not just a tikka, it's an identity. It's an identity of an icon that we've seen in our history textbooks, right? And I think that just dressing up that way might have taken you back in time. What did you do outside of the look of it to ensure that you were able to understand the essence of the woman Savitribai Phule? Because I think Savitribai Phule, to me, is very iconic. I think you and I are both educated girls today in this country because of the efforts of women like this.
Thank you very much. The look, yes, I mean, she's an icon, and Ananth sir actually wanted me to I mean, honestly, I was really uncomfortable wearing the kashta because it drapes a certain way. And the first day when he told me, the costume person came to me and said, you have to wear the kashta. I was like, sure, I will wear it. Why don't you just like kind of stitch it up so that it's just comfortable for me to like,
Yeah, like a
manu-
pre-stitched sari.
Yeah.
Correct.
Also, the kashta is like a dhoti.
Yes.
So just go to the loo also, you've got to undrape the whole thing. I know I'm getting into nitty gritties, it's not needed. But my point was like, I had never worn that. So anything you haven't done, you just inculcate fear in your head. I walk up to him and I'm like, listen, sir, you have to help me. And sir was like, no, you cannot wear a pre-stitched sari. I said, but sir, he's like, no, you have to wear a kashta. And like these are the things that help me. Everybody asks about a process, right? But I don't know what the process is. But this, I can say, is something that seeps from external to internal. The moment I would go to my changing vanity, I would wear the kashta, I would wear her tika, I would tie my hair in a bun. It was beginning of my day. I would know exactly where I left yesterday and where I should start
How
from.
beautiful. How
And
powerful.
How powerful actually. And it's a process. It doesn't happen on your first or second day.
Correct.
The first day you're just overwhelmed. Oh, you're playing Savitri. Oh, it's a whole new crew. Oh, this is a setup. She's an icon. So these thousand, everybody's just talking in your head. But I feel like with time, you just get a grasp of it. And yes, Akashta does help. Yes, that tika does help. Wearing those bangles do help. And I feel like these are all actors' tools.
100%. No, I think it was stunning just to see because, as I said, one of the most iconic lines about education in our country has been given to us by Jyotirao Phule. And that line is, if you educate a man, you educate an individual.
Yeah.
But if you educate a woman, you educate the family. I cannot tell you the amount of times this line has been said in my own home. And I really feel that, the timing of this film couldn't be better because it might be 100 years, but I still feel that there is room for us to understand this better. Did you feel the power of this line as well, Ananth sir?
Yes, in addition to that, he also said that it is important to educate a woman because only a mother can actually, sort of
Yeah.
impart values to a child.
Correct.
So the women education is very important. And it's interesting to see that they saw this as the future of India in the mid 19th century, around 1848. So that's why I feel that this is the first couple of India, if you can call it like we say the first lady of India.
Yes,
the
yes.
first couple
of India.
the first
yeah.
couple of India and India's first social revolutionaries, and they fought not with a weapon, but they fought with the intellect.
Yes,
you know?
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
there are so many things to be learned, and today's youth have to sort of draw from the fearlessness they had when they were just in their teens. I mean, Savitri was just 12 and he was just 19.
Correct.
And they helped each other out, and Jyotirao educated Savitri. I mean, if they can think so much into the future, if they can have so much foresight, what is wrong with people today who claim to be technologically so advanced and yet they do not think that way for the sake of society, or we are so indifferent that we don't care for anybody anymore? So that is why this film becomes totally relevant today, particularly to the youth who have to sort of pick it up from here and take the fight forward.
How amazing. I did see when the trailer dropped, there were amazing comments under the trailer. And I want to know if the two of you read YouTube comments. Do you spend any time looking at that? Because I just felt that the Maharashtrian community felt very seen. They said, wow, thank you for making this film. This is going to be about us and our lives and our struggles. And I think that there's a lot going on here. You're based in Maharashtra, both of you. You, of course, have such a big affinity to the language and to the culture. With, Sindhutai, I remember a film that really did so much again for the community. Let's start by talking about the sort of response and the love from the community towards you.
See, like you correctly said, the only other language film besides Hindi I made is Marathi. and I've made about 6 Marathi films.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sindhutai Sabkal, My Ghat, Bittersweet, Dr. Rakmabai, Atavel Zali, all of them. And they've been great experiences because that is where no one sort of, puts down any rules for you. When you go into a generic kind of thing, a pan-India kind of film, there are a lot of people who will say lots of things. This has to be done this way, this way. But when you sort of, become parochial in that sense in a region, not many people dictate too many things because it can be only done in one particular way. So you can do it your way. So that's probably the reason why I sometimes break into, the Marathi regional cinema, because it lets me do what I want to do. And yes, I would be lying if I say that I was not nervous when I saw the reactions on YouTube, because I always, I don't want to see them. Maybe they are not too favorable, but the way it sort of, literally like a tidal wave of gratitude and positivity, I said, this is really happening.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. And I'm extremely grateful, particularly to the people of Maharashtra who sort of, considered it as some kind of a gift for them. But I think this is a gift to the world. For me, Savitri brings a very important newspaper where, Abraham Lincoln has abolished slavery in America. And she tells Jyotirao to write because people listen to you. And he writes Ghulamgiri. So it has got international ramifications, whether it's Lincoln or Washington, Martin Luther King, or even the African apartheid. The fight, the intercaste and the discrimination that they fought for is actually a reflection of so many fights happening all over the world.
Correct.
So Phule is representative of so many wars that happened.
Correct, absolutely. No, for you as well, how has that been? The whole idea of the community coming out and saying that they feel seen. This is a story that they were so happy, or this role that they saw you play and they were so happy. What has that been like?
Honestly, I didn't read the comments. I stay away from reading the comments because I don't want to put myself in a place where, it affects my mental health.
Sure.
So it's really good to hear.
I agree with
It's
that.
good to hear that these are the comments coming our way. I remember I was about to begin the shoot of this film and I had gone out to meet, I don't know, it was a friend's wedding or some ceremony. And I had met this Marathi actress and she was like, listen, you're playing this part and it's a really important part of our history and you should be grateful that you got it. But you also have to understand what she has done for our community. And it's a very heavy baggage that you're carrying. And she was right, I mean, I did understand, but I didn't want to also understand because, Rohini, you don't want to walk into a set carrying that much of a baggage, Am I doing it right? Is this correct? I mean, you can't keep questioning yourself. So I had spoken to Ananth sir about it and I told him that I'm pretty nervous. But what he gave me was confidence. And I'm really thankful to you
I
about
saw no
it.
reason why she, I was so confident about her ability. So I wasn't nervous at all. I mean, let her say it, let her feel it, it's all right. But I knew she would deliver,
That's amazing. I also remind my audience that this is not any new casting. It's not because of her recent work or IC814, for which, by the way, we met. And
Yes.
of course, you're being very appreciated.
Thank you.
This casting actually happened many years
Way before.
before both your leads were actually the people and the celebrities, I would say, even today. So I think that that's a question of also picking the right horse, you think?
See, once, I always tell this to people, the late Rishikesh Mukherjee had always told me that, Ananth, when you cast correctly, And he was actually referring to a film that he made called, Anuradha, in which the lead was, of all people, Balraj Sahni and Leela Naidu. And the distributors told him, ye to hero heroine to hai nahi. How did you cast them? He said, yes, I'm sticking to them. And that film went on to win the first President's Gold Medal, which was what the National Award was called those days.
Wow.
So there's one thing he said, cast correctly. Whether it's a known, unknown, whatever. What I prefer to cast people, because I had worked with Pratik as a co-actor, I could see his versatility. Because I'd watched her in City Lights, I could see the internalization that she, brought to the screen. So I said, this is exactly what it is. And marvel of marvels, both of them looked like Jyotirao and Savitribai Phule, the sketches that we had for reference. So, I mean, I couldn't ask for more, you know. So, it was not whether they were known or unknown. Or, I knew my casting was correct. I had cast the right people.
Correct, absolutely. I do want to know, as a layperson, what are the stakes that are on a film that might be delayed by a week or two? Does that make you nervous? Does that make you stressed? Because I want to understand the psychology of a director I'm meeting today. And this morning, actually, you said, not yesterday in the morning?
This, yeah, it almost happened this morning.
This
when,
morning, the news was out.
we
How are
received
you
these
doing? And
protests
how are you
from-
doing about it?
Yeah, you want her to take that first?
Yeah, I read it in, somebody sent me the article that it's gotten pushed. But I feel like I just want people to go watch it in the theatres, because there's a lot that they'll take back home, and it's a beautiful part of our history. I mean, just two human beings who are so selfless and who's given so much to the society. And like you said, you and I are sitting here. It also goes back because there was the Savitribai and Jyotirao Phule. So it's just good to know your history and where your roots actually begin. Whether or not it comes on the 11th or 25th,
Shouldn't matter.
shouldn't matter. You know, we just want the audience to go watch it.
Watch it. How are you
Yeah,
doing?
true that, because you see, although I think basically we did it because there were some notices and some letters of concern and all that as to whether we were doing justice to the Brahmin community or injustice to them. And I just wanted to sort of calm them down. I didn't want, a negative approach by certain sectors of the audience wrongly, because they probably misunderstood what they saw in the trailer. So we just thought we'll spend this time in trying to get them to, calm down and explain to them what really it's all about and how the Brahmins and Jyotirao and Savitribai Phule were a team. They were not against each other, they were for each other. So when they watch the entire film, a film should always be watched in entirety to get the gist of the film. You can't just sort of, take off on some snippets in a trailer. So Patralekhaa said, doesn't matter whether it's 11th or 25th. I think the film will now, gestate and get time to grow with people. And if your final exam results are postponed by 2 weeks, the results would still be the same.
Wow, that's a quote. That's something that we're going to use definitely. I do want to ask you that ultimately the story is of courage, right? Okay. Tell me individually, when have you had to be the most courageous, and a time that you were tested that you perhaps came even 1% close to the courage of the characters whose story you're bringing? When is it, as actors, as filmmakers, has it demanded you to be courageous?
Yeah. When my dad passed away, we cremated him, and then the next day I had to fly to Mumbai to start shooting. So I think that took a lot of courage to just face the camera.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, that's personal, and I fully agree, because the same thing happened when my mom passed away and I was going to shoot Storyteller and Phule and all. But I'll tell you what, the maximum courage that I had to draw from within is every time I want to start a film, which I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not allowed to do.
Give me an
In
example of a film you were not allowed to do, and you had
No,
to.
not allowed to do in the sense that
It was
they
not
do not want to do it. It's you who has thought about it. You want to execute it and you want to do it. Whether it has been Storyteller or whether, I was asked at one point, why Satyajit Ray? You have your actors and why you keep harping on Ray? I said, this is Ray's story. It's not my story. So, when people discourage you this way, or they say, no, why this subject, why that subject? And here I am trying to fight like Savitri and Jyotirao Phule. They were revolutionary. They tried to do something different. My story is no different when it comes to filmmaking. I'm trying to revolutionize it for myself, not to prove anything to anybody. And that fight is becoming an impossible fight most of the times, because, every time it's like finding the right person who subscribes to your thought and thinks the way you do, which very few people do. So for me, I have to be courageous all the time to make the kind of films I want to make.
100%, absolutely, absolutely. Before I go, I must end with a really important question that is for myself. I think that this film deserves the audience that is all over the country, right? And maybe that's why you take a decision saying this is going to be theatrical. But I do want to ask you that the way I look at this film is an act of courage, is because during a time when we're so uncertain about box office, you're sticking to your guns and saying this will be a theatrical. Where do you get that courage from?
The courage came from my producer. Frankly, I make films for the big screen,
Yeah.
but it's not always that the producer sort of, sees it the way. And Ritesh Kudecha was absolutely confident this is a big screen film. But probably when he saw it also, he saw that it was a 70 mm spectacle, the way we shot it. So for me, I would say times are changing. Audience tastes are being refined. They may not be coming in hordes and huge crores of numbers, but the storyteller taught me a very, very big lesson that you don't need to come into cinemas. Don't need any articles, publicity, interviews, nothing at all. It just came and the audience smelt it and they saw it and they sort of, the kind of unanimous response I got, whether it was from the critics or from the audience, it gave me the courage and it gave me a lesson in patience that it is coming.
True.
It is coming. Wait for it. So for me, both storyteller and now Phule, I know that the audience has awakened to it and they will be there.
I wish you luck and thank you so much for bringing the story of Phule to us.
Thank you for
Thank
talking
you.
to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.